Originally written several years back and updated on May 30, 2016 and then on September 16, 2019. Increased migration, education from Western institutions and use of social media have equally increased the interaction among people across the world. One of the results being increased interfaith marriages. This phenomenon, a few decades back, had been evident in Africa and the Middle East but was a rarity in other parts of the world. Then it started taking roots in India as a result of its deliberate and targeted policies, gnawing away the Muslims' personal family law and religious traditions. As a result, interfaith marriages are a commonplace in India now. In the West, however, it is a result of anti-organized religions, anti-nationalism doctrines espoused in schools, colleges, and universities. A significant increase in interfaith marriages ensued, hence a commonplace in the West as well. It is to be noted that in the West this movement, unlike India, is not anti any particular religion but across the board it also has a societal and cultural homogenization dimension. Its main catalyst, in my assessment, is the loss of faith in Christianity and political system. Especially in the face of various sects of Christianity being at loggerhead, considered impeding and corrupting the political system. In India, an anti-religion movement is targeted, against Muslims, whereas Hindu extremism is being encouraged at national level. Islam, being the last of the organized religions, has a well-defined code of life including marriage. Its injunctions, most often, are considered stringent and draconian by Westerners as well as by some Muslims. This treatise would, therefore, provide the rationale, reasoning and logic for strict implementation of these codes, in the broader sense, and with a special emphasis on the impermissibility of marriage between a Muslim woman and a non-Muslim man. Surah Baqarah 2, b. 221. And do not marry an associating, Mushrik, women unless they come to faith. A Muslim slave girl is better than an associating, Mushrik, woman, even though she may please you. And do not give your women in marriage to associating, Mushrik, men unless they come to belief. A Muslim slave man is better than an associating, Mushrik, man, even though he may please you because they invite you to hellfire whereas God invites you to salvation by His grace. Associating here includes idolaters, those creating additional gods or assuming something as an intermediary interceding without his permission. Surah Al-Ma'idah, Table 5, b5. So are the virtuous women of the believers and virtuous women of those who received the scripture before you, lawful for you, when you give them their dower and live with them in honor. Dower and living in honor here means proper marriage. In this verse a hint at the importance of a chaste woman has been given, yet marrying an unchaste woman has not been made unlawful provided she chooses to stay in fidelity thereafter. It is to be noted that above quoted part of verse 5 is the therewithal of the permissibility of the food of the people of the book for Muslims, carrying the same rhythm and flow. Marriage with a man or woman, other than with people of the books, would also be permissible only upon their acceptance of Islam. This view has been endorsed by noble companions of the Prophet, Pbuh. Abdullah ibn Umar, R.A., and Umar Farooq, R.A., are two of them. Those who subscribe to the permissibility of Muslim men marrying women of people of the book, Hanafi school of thought, without their accepting Islam, yet consider it reprehensible, makruh. Although there is a clear difference of opinion among Muslim scholars with regard to the above-quoted Surah 5, b5. One may, however, ponder upon the rationale, reasoning and logic of conversion to Islam furthered by various scholars, pretty persuasive and convincing. A Muslim adheres to 5 core beliefs: 1. Oneness of God. 2. Belief in hereafter. 3. Acceptance of Prophet Muhammad Pbuh's last prophet. 4. Jihad. 5. Performing Hajj, subject to conditions, and offers 5 prayers. A Christians or a Jews fulfill only 1 or 2 requirements of Islamic faith respectively. None of them accepts the prophethood of Prophet Muhammad, Pbuh. With the emergence of Prophet Muhammad, all previous scriptures and shariahs stood abrogated. Therefore Jews and Christians, despite being people of book, are non-Muslims. They can't be treated at par with Muslims for marital purposes. The point of concern here is the corruptibility of Islamic faith due to their infidelity with their religions. The possibility of this happening is though lesser in the case of men, because their natural capabilities are more pronounced than those of women, whereas its possibility is greater in the case of a woman. Therefore, the marriage of a Muslim woman with a non-Muslim man has not been made lawful. This argument holds more water in present times, where where a growing trend amongst Jews and Christians is a complete disregard for their scriptures, their prophets, and even denial of God's existence, caving into anarchic atheism. Why Muslim women are not allowed to marry non-Muslims, POV. Azad. Whereas Muslim men are allowed to marry women from among the followers of another revealed religion, for Muslims believe in all the previous prophets, Muslim women may not marry non-Muslims, the reason being that Islam enjoins reverence of all the prophets, while the followers of other religions reject some of them, for example, the Prophet Muhammad or, as is the case with the Jews, both Muhammad and Jesus. Thus, while a non-Muslim woman who marries a Muslim can be sure that, despite all doctrinal differences, the prophets of her faith will be mentioned with utmost respect in her Muslim environment, a Muslim woman who would marry a non-Muslim would always be exposed to an abuse of him whom she regards as God's apostle. Surah Baqarah, Cow, 2, b 221. Confirms the above imperative when it declares that do not marry associating women and to believe this verse, therefore, rest all the doubts. Umar al-Faruq, R.A., upon hearing of the alarming currency of such a trend in Iraq and Syria, stopped such marriages. The reason given was the religious and political corruptibility of Muslim families. There are few such cases cited in the Islamic history where Umar Faruq, R.A., was very vehement in this pursuit and asked Muslims to divorce non-Muslim women. 3 such cases are those of Hudhayfa ibn Yaman, Talha, and Ka'b ibn Malik. Conclusion. Apart from the above cited generalized reasons, there is a logically reasoned injunction issued by the Prophet, PBUH, which lays the ground rules as to why some marriages, particularly those of Muslim women with non-Muslim men, are not permissible. In Islam, there is a concept of kuf, which means equal, alike, or matching. Under this principle, there are 2 subclauses which need to be considered when accepting/rejecting the marriage proposals. These are lineal homogeneity and familial homogeneity. Prophet has instructed that a girl should be married in their kuf, means equality, compatibility rather than equalness, and likeness of spouses in their religion is incumbent and necessary for the validity of the marriage. Marriage of a Muslim girl with a disbeliever is not valid, even if the girl agrees to it. Religio juris judicum, hukm tashri'i. The reason is that this is not simply the matter of right of woman which may be dropped at her pleasure. Instead, it is the right of God, a divine injunction under the clause of familial homogeneity. However, the lineal homogeneity, which includes financial and family status, etc., is the right of a woman and that of the parents of the girl, which can be dispensed with for expedient reasons or higher religious reasons. Should this be for religious reasons, it would be considered praiseworthy. A question or doubt may be raised about the whole stated above. The validity of it has very eloquently and in unequivocal terms been stated in Quran as religio juris judicum. Prophet has more right on men and women of his ummah, community, than their own selves, and also that, and it becomes not a believing man or woman, when Allah and his Prophet have decided an affair, for them, that they should claim any say in that matter. Surah Al-Ahzab 33, b6 and 36. Finally, Allah forbade such relationship in categorical terms in Surah Mumtahina. She who is examined, number 60, b. 10, in the following words: neither these, Muslim women, are lawful for them, nor are those, unbelievers, lawful for these, believing, women. All such relationships which existed at the time of revelation of this verse were ipso facto severed. It is hoped that this treatise would help many men and women in tackling this pandemic with divine guidance, provided through Quran and Hadith, while applying human logic and reasoning rather than sentimentality. For further reading, https://shakir2.wordpress.com/2017/08/31/interpersonal relationship between Muslim and non-Muslim / comment / feedback / share / like / follow. Shakir2.wordpress.com